Hi there, it's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Market Monday. We're going to take a look at the bear market that we are in. It's actually a mixed market. This is kind of crazy. The market we're in, on the one hand, with double masters just going crazy, selling well, the prices are actually holding well, the supply was very high of this, and it seems like the market is absolutely absorbing it. And then we have on the other end, we have Commander Legends, which is absolutely getting crushed, where the price is under distributor level. So people are losing money on things like the Commander Legends collector's displays. And I'd like to talk about how much dead product there still is on the market as far as at the distribution level or on TCG Player that is still at that distributor price. Now, let me actually clarify this distributor price versus retail price versus, normal markups. When I talk about distributor price, this is what stores are paying. This is what they're paying to get it from distributors. So right now let's just take draft boosters. On the low end of draft boosters, you have a distributor after the cheapest I can really get them for after fees from, there are certain distributors that sell at a higher price, but they don't have fees. And there are a couple of them that sell at lower price that do have fees. And when it all settles, it's about low end for draft boosters around 82, 83. And then for set boosters, you're looking at 85 to 88. It's even higher than that if you go with some of the more expensive distributors. There's one distributor in particular that I know a lot of stores use because they have a great selection on board games and sleeves, and they're actually very headache-free to deal with comparatively to some of these cheaper distributors that oftentimes can be, turn their nose up to newer stores. They don't want to sell at the price of that store. There are a lot of things that come into play when stores have to actually purchase them. So you can actually come over here and you see prices that have gone down, like Commander Legends Battle for Baldurs Gate Collector's Boosters, for example. That was $235 for the most expensive. I remember ordering these from my most expensive distributor. It cost me $235, and the low end distributor is like $225. And when you can see that people are selling the Kamigawa, or the Kamigawa, that wasn't even that long ago, Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate Collectors for $180, these are massive losses that someone is taking somewhere. And maybe there's a distributor right now. I haven't seen any deals for Commander Legends. I'm expecting them to start coming out for Commander Legends a collector's edition, but I haven't seen one on the distributors I use currently. So again, I think this is people just trying to recoup capital that might have invested on these, like, hey, I'd rather take a loss. And again, there's some stuff that I know that maybe Wizards of the Coast isn't feeling it as bad. I think they have a new strategy with they're just going to print, and the ones that actually are the ones that do make bank, like Kamigawa, like Double Masters, they can just chalk that up for a win. And the ones that don't do well, then they blow out on Amazon for specials, or maybe they give distributors a special. And when thinking about collectors and boosters in particular, especially with this Double Masters, I think that's where the real profit margins with Wizards of the Coast is coming from. Is you can't tell me that it costs more to print a Double Masters collector's booster, which has 2 or 4 packs in it, than it is for something like a Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate pre-release pack. I bet, as far as the production cost of these, I would actually probably say the pre-release pack costs more to print in this box, ship in this box, everything out the gate is probably more expensive than them to actually create this Double Master. So that's where they're making the crazy profit margins, and maybe they don't care about really flooding the market with product. But there is kind of the downstream effect of flooding Magic the Gathering, or flooding the market with Magic the Gathering, which is how long can they hold this reprint equity? We've already seen reprint equity get absolutely crushed with them releasing Commander sets every set. So we used to have things like Kodama's Reaches or Soul Rings when they're printed once a year in Commander. They'd actually would go back and up in value, and then you'd be able to bank on that EV of like a $4 Kodama's Reach or a $4 Soul Ring being able to be an incentive that people can actually get that. Whereas with every set these being printed, we've seen some of these what we call evergreen cards go down to 25 cents, go down to 15 cents, and now when people go to purchase a new one, it's like, there's really nothing in here that is really catching my eye. And yes, these are evergreen cards that need to be in the Magic the Gathering kind of ecosystem for people to build decks, but there is this tightrope balance. You have to balance market with the expected value or value of a product, of what you're getting, with the ability for accessibility for people to actually build decks and play. And Wizard of the Coast needs to remember that I mean, especially they got to know this with collector's editions, with with these sets, that there is people that are collecting, or people that do expect value from that, and that is a huge part of the Magic the Gathering ecosystem, is having value for what you get. It's not like, a living card game or a board game or something like that, where it's like, oh, it's only utility I'm paying for. There is that collectability mentality and that aspect to the game, that it's going to, like I said, downstream, further down the road, it's going to have the problem of, can they sell their next boxes? And that's why I was kind of joking in my Discord. Why would anyone buy any product now? Just wait every 2 years for a Double Masters. I mean, they've shown consistently that they're going to be doing this with Ultimate Masters, then Double Masters, then Double Masters 2022. Now I've kind of seen that with Commander Legends. They're just continued this cookie cutter strategy of releasing these crazy reprint sets that have everything that everyone wants. So why would people want to buy these new sets when they come out? Kamigawa was a blip, but the rest of I think that the takeaway we can get from late 2021 and early 2022 is, Kamigawa was the standout, but these were not bad sets. You can't tell me that Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. I will keep arguing with people about this set. It was not a bad set. It had some really good cards in it. It had some really good rares for Commander that I think go in every deck, kind of like how Dockside Extortion is going to be. There's a blue one and a white one. Can't think of their names right off the top. I think white had two of them that you could just justify throwing in any Commander deck that I think are going to age well. And there's a bunch of new cards. It was fresh cards in Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. And that's what a lot of people were kind of upset about, that it didn't have the reprint equity. But if we learned anything from Conspiracy or Conspiracy 2 or Battle Bond, it actually doesn't need it. What it actually needs is first printing of cards that then drive up the value. So with Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate doing this poorly, with things that are completely stagnant like New Capenna or Innistrad Midnight Hunt, when they released even things like the double feature, there was a product that nobody wanted, just added more. It's just going to be... it's just a disaster waiting to happen. And I think that Wizard of the Coast kind of got lucky with the stimulus checks, with the lockdowns, with that sort of stuff, where people were bored and they spent a ton of money on collectibles. And it was just through basically all these markets that didn't have the greatest. It was like all the travel money, all of the money that used to go on eating out, all of that was spent on collectibles, and I don't think that Wizard of the Coast can bank on that long term. And I think we're going to see that with comparing Double Masters 2022 with Double Masters itself. So I've got Double Masters pulled up here, and it actually recovered quite well. And the main reason it recovered, it was sandwiched right into that. It was released in July 2022 or 2020, or August, I guess, of 2020, and then it got crushed. The value of it got crushed, and then it really started to recover. Right around this Strixhaven point where people had that excess money, the economy was still booming, and then it was still actually going up until recently. And I don't know how many cards were actually reprinted with this set, and I don't think there's a lot of overlap, right? So it's starting to go back down, and I guess that's a big warning sign too of the cards. Yeah, none of these cards were reprinted, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, someone in the comment section, of why. If we're seeing this decrease though, that's a pretty bad warning sign for Double Masters. The sealed product's still doing quite well. If we check out Double Masters here, products, I bet let's see. So we got the VIP edition. Yeah, it's still doing quite well, but it is starting to dip a little bit. Let's go to 6 months. It's pretty stagnant here. So it did have that good price increase last year at this time, and then another bump. Okay, so July and then January had a bump, and now it's been quite stagnant. So yeah, those are kind of warning signs when those type of products, you should see a nice little trajectory. It still does seem like it is going up month and month, but this last little bit from May to July is quite concerning. It looks like the trend's going the opposite direction. Kamigawa, here's another thing that I think Wizard of the Coast was very short-sighted on, is Kamigawa did have a reprint, an actual reprint and collector's booster. So not only did you have the amount of supply you have for New Capenna, which is now being blown out, the distributors are just trying to get rid of it. In fact, if you're a patron of mine, you can buy New Capenna set boosters for $113. $113, and we've had Crimson Vow for that price, and we've had Forgotten Realms for that price too. So somewhere along the supply chain, either the distributor is like, I've had enough with this, we'll take a loss of it because we're sick of it rotting on our shelf and rather have that money to reinvest in other stuff, or Wizards of the Coast has given distributors the green light to buy at a certain price and sell at a certain price. And either way, it's whatever it is, there is that particular distributor that's just, they're getting rid of this stuff because they have no faith in it long term. And so that's a warning sign too, because I've never seen, like I've mentioned, in the 10 plus years I've been doing this, either by owning a store myself for the last 7 years or being involved with other stores and being kind of a buyer and a seller for them, I've never seen so many products just available still at the distributor price, and I've never seen so many on Amazon or on eBay or on TCG Player for at or near that distributor price. And like I mentioned, distributor pricing is very, very important when taking an account of where a price should be. Now, if we go back to look at where Double Masters is, where people are like, wow, stores are making a killing off of this. Well, not really. Yes, the Double Masters Collector's Boosters, the distributor cost was what, 180, 185 for these, and you can, sell now 270, get a 15% cut off of that for TC Player eBay fees. You're making a good, $50 to $70 per box. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good money. Well, if you're selling at your local level and you're only making that type of profits, those are actually pretty pitiful margins, because you'd have to actually do a lot of sales just to cover overhead and employee costs at that point. You'd have to be spending a lot. Industry standard is the markup is usually around 40%. So you mark it up. So basically, if you buy something for $100, you're gonna sell it for 180 is what you're gonna buy. Or you're gonna sell it for. Is we're gonna mark it up to of not quite double the price, but I guess 40% is wrong term but that's the industry standard. Is that you buy it. So, for example, if I buy a board game, if I look at the MSRP of a board game, so let's just take a $100 board game, then I would buy then I would buy it for what does that put it at? Like $58 is what I buy it for. And so you'd mark it up to then the 100, and the board games are expecting that that's how much you'd make. They realize that you, as the brick and mortar, need to make that just to cover your overhead and your expenses and whatnot. That's a decent markup. And we see that with sleeves. We see that with food and candy. We see that with everything at a local game store. Those are just like industry standards where you want to be. And then when you see this, when you have to compete with these, Amazon drops and the TCU players and then things being blown out, you can see why it's just a terrible, terrible time. We're headed into a terrible time for stores, because they can make bank on this one, and they made bank on Kamigawa maybe, but the sales have really dwindled. They have to be super, super tight. That means with these products that they can't just splurge and hope that they, have this nice trajectory of going up and be able to make back their money within a decent time period. Whereas now you can't make money off Baldur's Gate. Why would a store even purchase this now to keep it on the shelf if people just get it on, TC Player or eBay for cheaper than they could buy it? I mean, why even buy this from a distributor? I mean, you can get this now, off Amazon Prime for, if they have a drop, then for free shipping and whatnot, than actually going through. I guess you have to be taxed at that point for your store. Actually, Amazon has ways to do that too, where you can get around it. So it's just a really, really awkward time for both distributors and stores to try to be making profit off of stuff, when I think this is the culprit. I actually think this is more to do with prices being, stagnated and suffering than really the bear. Yes, it is, of course, the bear market. That's the big thing. We have food prices, gas prices, all those things going up. People tighten their belts at that point. The first thing on the chopping block is things that are unnecessary: cryptocurrency, hobbies, other investments. People start cannibalizing them. They start taking care of the things that need to be taken care of, and there's less money going around to buy this. But I would say that one of the bigger factors is, like I mentioned, why buy anything else? Why not just buy Double Masters products that just have so much value in them, where they, basically print everything that everybody wants in these reprint sets? Why risk it with a new set like Commander Legends, Baldur's Gate? Why ever have any faith in those type of stuff? Why ever buy Commander decks when they are so skimpy on what they reprint in Commander decks? Why buy Challenger decks that, like I mentioned, I actually haven't mentioned this, you can still buy 2020 Challenger decks at distributor pricing, and the price isn't actually good for them anymore. I mean, it's you don't make your money back even if buying them at distributor pricing. And basically what I'm saying is, you can, if you count for the cards that are like $2 in many of the challenger decks, you basically don't have your value there. And it is a very, very, I don't want to always say the sky is falling. I know I've been saying that for years and years and years with Wizards of the Coast, but they do need to start practicing some restraint when printing these double. I think this double masters was too soon. I think that every 2 years is too soon for a product like this. Eventually they're going to run out of their reprint equity. We can see this with like Modern Horizons, with the fetch lands being, triple reprinted within a year, with the Secret Layers, then into Zendikar Rising, then into Modern Horizon. And now we see there's fetch lands going for $14 now, which is the most demand card in all of Magic. I would say would be, fetch lands. Like I mentioned too, the evergreen cards from Commander decks, like the Kadama's Reaches and the Soul Rings and stuff, that have really, really gone down in price. And they're just not going to have the ability to continue to, find cards to hit this reprint equity. And I don't think they can bank on a strong economy, or that perfect storm that we had with the 2020 to 2021, with just people bored, stuck at home, nothing better to spend their money on. And yeah, that was just the perfect storm for a market to go crazy. So what I'm trying to say in short is, I do expect the bubble to burst, but there is good news in that bubble bursting scenario. I think that if you have been fiscally responsible, if you do have liquidity at this point, I think that we're going to see some insane prices to get in on. And one thing that I really like right now is there's just a price increase overall in Magic the Gathering. The next Dominaria coming out, the prices that I got from my most expensive distributor is $105 for set boosters, and I believe $100 for draft boosters, around $198 for draft boosters. So right there, these products like the new Capenna draft booster, they're going to look pretty good anyway. As like, wow, I could buy a Dominaria, or I could get this other new Capenna. I think price memory, or not really price memory, the new price set prices for these increases are going to be retroactively activated for. That just makes sense. They're going to be in retros. Whatever. You know what I'm saying here. My brain's already getting fried from going over this topic. Anyway, people are going to be just expected to pay $105 for set boosters. So when they go back to buy a new Capenna set booster, $105 doesn't seem too bad. I think all the prices are going to adjust accordingly, just because of the new price increase from Dominaria. And I'm wondering if Wizards of the Coast is actually going to even reprint these other ones. So let's say there's a demand for draft boosters. So let's say, for whatever reason, the market goes crazy. There's a pro tour of standard, so all of a sudden people are starting to open standard sets again, so they need Kamigawa draft boosters. And so if Wizards of the Coast reprints them, they might actually just reprint them at the higher price, and have that higher price now reflect their Dominaria. And so that alone will create a bump in the draft boosters at that point. So all of this era, I think, is actually some great opportunities to buy, but I would be very, very picky when buying. I'd wait for those Amazon drops. I'd wait for these crazy, people that are going bankrupt and selling out in these, stores going under, selling their lots. I would not be targeting anything aggressively. I would just be waiting for those sales. And that brings me into where I think you can actually take advantage of a place like mine or someone else's, Patreon. I have a Patreon right now, and I do post the distributor sales. What you do on my Patreon is you subscribe at a certain tier level, and you can get that many products per month shipped to you at distributor price. So you just pay me money up front. I order on your behalf. I get the product to send to you. You reimburse me shipping, and typically it does come out to be cheaper than going a route like eBay or TC Player, buying at your local game store. And you have the opportunity to actually get these crazy prices. Like right now, as I mentioned, Streets of New Capenna Collector's Edition are going for something insane like $113 after fees. So by the time you get it shipped to you, it's like $120. That is a crazy deal on a set that I think is actually pretty good. As I mentioned before, none of these sets are bad. Kamigawa Double Masters are just outshining everything. Commander Legends is great. Baldurs Gate, I'll argue with everyone about that set until I'm blue in the face. It's just conspiracy all over again. It's Battle Bond all over again. This set will recover. We have New Capenna, which has a highly, highly sought-after land cycle, which has some really, really good cards. You have the Unlicensed Hearse was like a $70 card, rare, and you have the $22 Sphinx or Bird or whatever it is, the one that surveils or whatever the mechanic is. Now I can't think. I'm so out of Magic. So you got those cards. The $22 rare is good. That's insane in this day and age. Where think back like when we had Battle for Zendikar, when a $5 rare was like the cap. We had a card that was being played in 50% of all standard decks, and it was as a 4 of, and it couldn't even crush $5. And now we have a $22 one. So I think that these sets are just showing that how low they're being opened because of all the other ones that have been out. And I think that'll make these suckers age well, and people are like, hey, there's a $22 rare I can get in this. Whereas, there's not even a rare in double masters anymore. Possibly there's over $20. And so then it will start, the people looking back at these sets as bargains. And again, I think Ikoria, Theros, Beyond Death, all those products will start to recover. I think that, I don't know. I'm actually, yes, I'm pretty bleak for the short-term future. I think we're going to go under a lot more pain and suffering than we're doing now. We have a global food crisis that's going to come up. We have a lot of uncertainties. We just have a lot of things being mismanaged. The good news is I think that actually in our neck of the woods we're better mismanaged, which is crazy to say, than even other parts of the world that are going to really start to have to tighten their belts and do a little bit of suffering. But I think we're all in for a bit of a belt tightening at the lowest end, and some mild suffering at least on the top end, where collectibles are going to hit a massive hit. But these things do recover. I've been in this industry for many of these swings before, with these crashes, with these things, and I think that we're gonna we look back at this time period and look at these prices and be like, wow, I could have bought cases of these things for this amount. Yeah, I wish I would have pulled the trigger. So like I said, if you're in a fiscally good spot, this might be the time to start making moves on some of these products that have just hit dirt low, dirt cheap prices. And again, though, this is all speculative based on the fact is Wizards of the Coast. Can they do something responsible for once in their life? Can they start to look at the market indicators and adjust? We have a huge warning sign with what happened with Flesh and Blood, with just them, catering too much to the FOMO, the speculation, to the, sales are strong right now, so let's just keep printing into it. And now they are having trouble selling, some of their products. The Uprising's doing quite well. It looks like they did do a decent printing for Uprising, not printing too much, not printing too little, to where it was able to get in the hands. Why did it go to Uprising the card? We don't want Uprising the card. We want Uprising booster box. So this is actually something now that is decent little profit margins for stores. This hasn't been like something like the set before this just got absolutely crushed, and then they couldn't sell anything, and then we have like $40 Flesh and Blood boxes going around on all these drops from the channel fireballs and the TC player drops and stuff, where people just lose out a ton of money. So this is a warning sign with like Flesh and Blood. I know that Magic the Gathering has an infinitely bigger market that can actually absorb a lot of these bad decisions, but I just can't foresee them doing things like Warhammer Collector's Editions and another Double Masters within a year and a half or 2 years, or another specially set sandwich between them, without an overall just market collapse as far as singles prices and whatnot. And for as many people that say, great, it's more accessible, I can finally build my Commander deck, this is a collectible card game. It goes hand in hand. People having values, people having justification for their $150 Double Masters VIP. They can only sell this because of the cards that are contained in them. If they no longer have value, Wizards of the Coast can't do this. And at what point then should they just create sheets of cards for everyone to play, turn this into a living card game, and people can play to their heart's content of what they want? I don't think that that's good for the game. Part of the fun of Magic the Gathering is ripping open packs and hitting those lottery cards. It's that gambling aspect to it. It's that rush of collectability. People like progression. They like having limits. It's you can't just give everything to everyone right now and expect them to have the same enjoyment that it has for. It's just human psychology to work towards something. And so they need to have value. And Wizards of the Coast really needs to take a big look, a nice introspective look, and realize where they're kind of headed with this game with the mass printings and just continuing adding product without really stepping back. I mean, think about not too long ago how good like Gideon's spellbooks looked. Or like Chandra's spell. What was the first one? Jace's? When people lost their mind, it's like, oh man, there's $70 worth of cards and $15 worth of product. And now people just laugh. They turn their noses up to the Chandra. There's still Chandra spellbooks. That's as old as Double Masters 2020, right? That's been around forever. And now we have Commander Black that's not even aging that well. It's just it's sitting at distributor price if I remember correctly. So we have Commander Black that is getting quite old. Yeah, it's actually still collapsing. It's not even still going down. This thing, people lost their mind about this because it had such good value in it. Yeah, these are all bad warning signs for the market. Again, I don't want to just be the doom and gloom, the sky is falling, but I don't know. The sky really is falling if Wizard of the Coast is not going to, take a step back, take a breather, let the market recover, and quit the shenanigans of just reprint. Last but not least, I'm actually not that impressed with Double Masters 2 after looking at it. There are a lot of cards here. Yes, it does have some good ones, but like things like Mana Drain, this almost feels like the Tarmogoyf to me, where Tarmogoyf was such a sought after card, but they keep reprinting it in every master set, where finally it was the last Tarmogoyf 2017 that just crushed it. This one does seem to still be holding value. What was it doing Commander Legends? That wasn't that long ago. Was it still going down in value? Yep, still was going down in value before it got a reprint. And why is the new one actually worth more? Yeah, this will have some price correction just to actually match. It's only like $4 off, but it was going for like 35. And anyway, supply is pretty high for Double Masters 2022. There are a lot of cards that's still going out. Again, I don't think they can just get lucky with the lockdown. I hate calling it getting lucky because it's one of the worst, human experiences we've gone through. But for collectible markets, it really was something I think that saved a lot of bad decisions that were made for the hobby industry, and they were able to make out for, just make bank during that time period. Anyway, I've rambled enough for this one. I think I'm starting to repeat myself, so we'll call it good for this Market Monday. I'm going to give a good effort to try to revive these channels, and I know I've said this a billion times over, but hopefully we can get some focus and at least do these Market Mondays weekly and give everyone updates on what is going on. I hope you like my perspective on things. I think I give a unique perspective with being a store owner, being a player, and being in this industry for so long and seeing things go through. So if you do like this video, I would enjoy or appreciate a like and a subscribe, a comment, all that shenanigans. Spam this video out. Hate it if you like. Tell me how wrong I am. I still do love the comments going back and like, oh, look at this idiot. He said that Double Masters 2020 was going to collapse. Blah, blah. Kevin's such an idiot. So love those comments still. Again, we only have the information we have right now, and it is getting very, very kind of it's getting scary with the combination of the just absolute nonsense, just reprint, and the market uncertainty that's going on right now. Anyway, Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.